How far did you get? Or haven't you convened?
We have not
Nope.
convened.
Okay, well, we got a full house anyway. So this is now the Zoning Board of Appeals, Tuesday, February 2nd, 2021, 7:38 or 9. And sitting as the Board of Appeals are myself, Woody Chittick, as chair. And I'll just go around as I see people. Lee Darst, David McMorris, Matt Watkins, and Charlie Higginson. Lauren Lind and Jen Oren are sitting in on this. And I'm sure we have some visitors as well. So I'd like to call the meeting to order. And we have board business first. And I guess the only board business per se, Jen, are just the meeting dates, tentative meeting dates. For March.
Actually, Mr. Chair, if I could trouble you to open the meeting with a roll call vote, and we actually do have 2 items of business.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Let's have a roll call vote. Lee Darst.
Present.
Charlie Higginson.
Present.
Dave McMorris.
Present.
Matt Watkins.
Present.
And Woody Chittick, aye. Present. Okay. Take it over, Jen.
Okay, so the first order of business are just confirming that everybody still looks good for the next 2 meetings of March 2nd and April 6th, believe it or not, we're talking about. And obviously, if everybody still looks good, and we can, we'll address them every meeting.
I'm
Everybody
good.
The only thing
Good.
I was gonna let you know closer to the March 2nd date, but as it stands right now, I have a conflict during our meeting on the 2nd, but I'm working to see if I can change that. But I just wanted to put it out there in case I'm not able to.
Okay, well, with any luck, I mean, we need 3 people and we have 4 others here tonight. So you may not have to move heaven and earth on the 2nd.
Okay.
It's great to have the backup, but I mean, doesn't
right,
require, critical.
I'll make note of that, Matt, for the March 2nd.
Okay.
The other order of business, Mr. Chairman, is the reorganization of the board, which I thought you would probably want to take it away.
As I think each of you know, because I've mentioned to you individually, Peter Gertica has resigned from the board, regrettably on his part and our part as well, but circumstances dictate that. We have an opening, but before we fill the opening, Peter, I would like to replace Peter as vice chair of this board, and my nominee, although it's open for everybody, is to move Dave McMorris, who's become a regular member of our committee, to vice chair.
I second that.
Is there discussion, or are there other nominees?
Oh, as far as the discussion, I know he has my full endorsement for the position, so I'm in support of it.
I'm in support also.
And I guess since I put him up, I'm in support as well. So not hearing any other nominees or any wish for discussion further, I'd like to make a motion to appoint Dave McMorris as our vice chair of the zoning board. I need a second.
Second.
Charlie, good. All in favor? Do you want a roll call vote, Jen, again?
Yes, please. Thank you.
So go ahead, say your names.
Lee Darst, aye.
Charlie Higginson, aye.
Matt Watkins, aye.
Woody Chittick, aye.
Dave McMorris, aye.
Unanimous. All right. Congratulations, Dave.
Thank you.
The only thing, the next step is that we now do have an opening for associate member. We have received 1 applicant. I know that applicant is listening on the attendee side of things this evening. And then certainly out to the public that if anybody else is interested, they should submit an application, but we also don't want to go too long without a full board. We have a couple of big applications coming to us. So we're going to want everybody on board. So I don't know if it's the thought of the board to move forward and try to get before the select board before our March hearing, where we will be hearing one of these large applications, which I will fill you in on after tonight's business.
Okay.
So So I didn't know if you wanted to see what the thought process of the whole board is, since we don't all see each other.
Where is it usually advertised? I know when I applied, it was in the Mariner.
That's correct. So we've been announcing it with the Zoom world, just online and on agendas, you know, and that we put it out there. But honestly, that's really been it. It's been word of mouth because of Zoom, and we don't really see the Mariner much anymore. There's one reporter that comes, but we don't even get the paper at the town hall anymore.
I get it.
Yeah, I know. But the select board did announce it publicly at 3 meetings ago and again last week. So it's been announced multiple times. And they have received a few applications, but 2 of the 3 were interested in prioritized that they were interested in other boards beside the zoning board. So I personally think just so we have a full board, we could bring it to the request to bring the new applicant. If after tonight, that applicant is still interested, we normally don't start with such a stutter. So we could, you know, and then go from there if everybody agrees.
Yeah, I would agree, but if somebody surfaces, let's say during the course of this meeting, somebody else, I certainly would like to give that some consideration, but I agree with you that we do need a full board.
Does that work for everybody else?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So we've got some continued hearings, actually only one of which we'll actually hear. The first of which is 62 Rust Way, the Nortons, wishing to construct an addition in the rear setback. They have, as they did last month, requested to continue until March 2nd. So I'd like to make a motion to continue that hearing unless anybody on the board wishes to have a comment.
It just occurred to me, Woody, can we move the hearing until our March meeting rather than a specific date? Because if we do get a couple applications that we have to have a recusal on, we're going to be kind of thin.
Thin. Okay. And so your proposal is to move it until
The March meeting, whatever date that happens to be.
they have, and rather than specify March 2nd, just say the March meeting.
Yes.
Fine with me. Anybody have an issue with that one?
Yeah,
Okay, so
this will be what, the second,
yes, in a row, yeah.
right? Extension?
Well, right now it's scheduled as the 2nd, and this is the 2nd extension.
You choose.
Tuesday's the
So I don't know
first
which
second.
2nd you're referring to, but both are correct, Matt.
Yeah, I meant the second extension, yeah. Because I know that we had discussion on that application and it was kind of trending towards, you know, some.
They were trending toward a total reapplication or something. We filed.
Right. And I'm just wondering, you know, maybe well, I guess we'll give them the benefit, right? We'll extend it. I was just kind of thinking out loud how many more times, but they must be.
Jen, do you have any insights in this?
Yes, I just actually promoted John Cavanero. He's actually here for almost every hearing this evening, including this one. So I thought we should ask the applicant himself.
So John, you're on. Oh, wait, I can't hear him.
You're muted. Did you dial in?
No, I don't see John. I don't see the little red mic, but now it's on. Now speak again. Say something.
No,
No.
I can't hear him. That's weird.
Maybe go out and come back.
Our star guest.
Can you hear us, John? Nod your head up and down. Can you hear us? I don't think he's hearing us either.
No. I can't remove him or it will interfere with him coming back in.
Well, we could not take any action at this moment and
Was
just,
it Lauren?
I was going to say I can resend the invite and he can call in if you'd like.
yeah, let's do that.
Okay, let me resend.
Yeah, because as far as discussion, I'm not opposed to continuing it. I was just wondering, it seemed to be that they might be a little further away from when they're ready to come back to us, and I didn't know if we wanted to continue it for the next X number of months or what made sense.
Well, I mean, they're doing it a month at a time. I mean, I think 2 continuances isn't excessive by any means. And it's not really spending more time trying to get poor John logged in than discussing the matter.
Yeah, but no, I'm not in, I mean, if everybody's fine, I'm not opposed to extending it whatsoever, so.
Can we procedurally segue to the next one? John doesn't have a stake in the second continuance.
Right, I would just suggest that we not make a motion, do anything on
Right.
the first one,
I
right,
would
and move
withdraw my
on.
motion.
So that until we can figure out the technical blip with John, I think he's gonna try to call in. So I recommend we'll hold on that one and then go
Okay.
to 124.
Right. The second continued hearing is 124 and 87 Elm Street, the Cohasset Harbor Inn. They are before us, as you know, on a parking issue or two, and have requested by letter dated yesterday or the day before, by a very recent letter requesting a continuance until March.
That's correct.
And I think they'll be modifying their application. I again see no reason not to grant that continuance.
And we have received that documentation as of today electronically. I will review it tomorrow when I'm back in the office. So they have submitted the application information to
Okay.
amend this special permit to include additional relief.
Okay. So I would make a motion that on 124 and 87 Elm that we continue this until our March hearing.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor by voice? Woody Chidick, aye.
Dave McMorris, aye.
Okay.
Carl Higginson, aye.
Matt Watkins, aye.
Lee Darcy, I'm recusing myself because I can't vote on this.
Oh, okay. Okay. So 4 to zip. Off we go. Is John still?
I believe he's called in now. There he is.
But I see the little mic symbol.
Right. He'll have to unmute. There you go.
John?
Yes, hello, good evening.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm fine. I apologize for that technical glitch. I just wanted to say very quickly on 62 Rust that the applicants have been working diligently with their architect to make revisions to the plan, unfortunately to no avail, which has created this delay and request for the multiple continuances. They are in the process of re-engaging with a new architect and are in strong pursuit to make revisions. So we're hopeful that we're going to be ready for the March hearing, but it may be at worst case one more continuance to April. But it's the applicant's utmost intention to pursue this and bring this to at least one more meeting so that we can represent a new plan.
Well, that seems reasonable to me. Further discussion, or Dave, or you just moving your hand? Then I would make a motion to continue this until our March hearing. This is 62 Rust Way.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. All in favor? Woody Chidick, aye.
Darst, aye.
Carl Higginson, aye.
Matt Watkins, aye.
McMorris, aye.
Okay, moved and seconded. The third is, again, we'll hear from John, is at 73 Whitehead Road. We continue the hearing really for the submission of any last documents or information, either from the applicant or from the public. I have not seen anything new. Lee, have you? You've
No, I have not.
done a point. So I feel comfortable that we can close this hearing unless John, is there any reason to continue this hearing?
No, there is not. And I appreciate the request, and there has been no additional information other than I believe we forwarded along the conservation permit approvals to Jen recently.
Yes, I got those this afternoon, so we have those for the record.
Okay,
Thank you.
Lee, you can do a little sort of, amendment when the time is right. Okay, well, I'd make a motion to close the hearing on 73 Whitehead Road.
I second the motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, Lee Chidick, aye.
Lee
Carl
Darst,
Higginson, aye.
Matt Watkins,
Morris,
aye.
aye.
Okay, so that's been closed. Looks like we'll have time later on to deliberate on this matter. Now we'll move to new hearings, of which we have two. The first of which is 481 Jerusalem Road, filed again by Cabanaro Consulting on behalf of their clients, Josh Struzari and Beth Carney, to change the roof and height lines within the setback at 481 Jerusalem. So John, over to you.
I believe actually Brendan Sullivan, if he could be promoted, Jen, to a panelist. Is that possible, Jen?
All set,
He's on.
all set.
Okay, Brendan, you've got the floor.
Great, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. So, Brendan Sullivan with Cabanaro Consulting, representing Josh Struzari and Beth Carney at 481 Jerusalem Road. Can I share the screen so I can pull up the plans?
You should have capability
You
to
should
share
also-
now.
yep.
Oh, okay. So everybody can see that. So once again, it's 481 Jerusalem Road. It is a conforming lot in the RB district. It's a single family home. It is non-conforming with both side yard setbacks. The one on the left, the west side, is approximately 1.5 feet, 1.5 feet off of their property line. The right side, the existing 3-car garage, is approximately 16.2 off the property line. And what the owners are proposing to do basically is, and pull up the schematic. So this is the existing dwelling here. Basically, it's got a gable roof, and there's 2 hip roofs on either side, on the garage on the right, and over on the left-hand side is also a hip roof. What they really want to do is just add gables to those, get rid of those hip roofs and increase the heights of the roofs. The ridge line is being increased by approximately 4 feet. And this is just to go more flow in within the neighborhood and in the house itself. So the architectural plans. So on the front, the front elevation, which is the south elevation, on the right hand side, you see this the larger red dashed line. That's where the existing roof line is. We're proposing in the total red area here. So that has an increase on this side. The existing within this setback is approximately 239 square feet. We're increasing it to 345 square feet, or about a 44% increase on that side. Over on the garage side, once again, you can see the existing non-conforming. It's a little skewed because, as you can tell by the, if I went back to the site plan, you can see it's skewed a little bit. So actually the front corner of the garage is conforming. It's outside the 20-foot setback, but the rear corner is about 16.2. So it's a little skew going on there. That's why it looks a little irregularly shaped. So on that side, we have approximately 63 square feet that are non-conforming, and we're proposing 82 square feet, or approximately a 30% increase. Going to the south elevation, which is the rear, Once again, the garage side, approximately 23 square feet of nonconformity, and we're increasing that to 76 square feet, or approximately 230% increase. On the west side, once again, you can see the roof line here that we're changing. It's approximately 461 square feet of nonconformity. We're increasing that to 550 square feet, or about a 19% increase. And then on the east and west elevations, the west elevation, we're existing about 461 square feet, and the proposed is about 550 square feet, or about a 20% increase in this area. The east elevation, we have about approximately 186 square feet of nonconformity, and we're increasing that with that gable end to about 268 square feet, or about a 44% increase. And I think that's about it. I did have so the volume increase on the let's see, the volume increase on the west elevation is approximately 25% volume increase, and on the east side it's approximately a 44% increase. So with that, I'll take any questions.
Okay, board. I assume everybody's had a chance to see this property. Is there going to be living space then in the second floor?
There is going to be living space above on the left-hand side, the west elevation, yes.
But not over the garage?
Not over the garage. It's going to be storage. As you can tell by the roof lines, it's really a main body of the house and basically two breezeways that connect the three-car garage and what we're going to call the west wing, I guess. So there's no second story connection to either one of those. It's actually, they're going to take the roof lines out and they're going to add a deck above those first story, what we call breezeways, connections.
Hmm.
I have a question. Looking at the site plan, it labels the owners of the adjacent properties, but there's no indication on the one that I have of where the buildings are.
Oh yes, that was an original comment, and I resubmitted these plans that I have up in here now that shows the structures in the driveways.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah, no, we didn't get that in our packet, as you
You-
know.
You did, actually. It's
Yes,
in
we
the
did.
back. It's in the back of I attached it to the back of the application. There's two plans.
Oh,
There are
really?
two site plans,
There's
one
two
of
site
which
plans.
shows buildings.
You'll see that
Oh, okay.
I was a pain to Brendan and asked for the buildings because I know you like the buildings.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. And I also added the comparison table that I basically just went over about the square footage and nonconformities on the east and west side and the volumes. So all that information is on there as well.
So you're not in any of these dimensions, you're not doubling the size of the existing nonconformity. It looks like it ranges from 25 to 50 or 60%.
Yes, the only one there is one that we're increasing by 230%, which is the rear. Let's see, this one over here. It's because the numbers are so small. Any increase, it shows dramatically.
Yeah, it's about 50 feet, isn't it?
It goes from 23 square feet to 76 square feet. So you're almost,
All right, so
you know,
53 square feet. I mean, that's pretty small.
yes. That's why I say that's why the increase seems so dramatic, because the numbers are so small. All the other ones are, in the hundreds of square feet. So, and yeah, you're right. The rest of them are between 20 and 30 up to 40%. And
Yeah.
there's no increase in footprint.
Have you heard from either the neighbors, particularly the neighbor that's closest to the house, to the right of the, as I look at it, to the right of the garage?
Right, number 483.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
not sure.
475.
Oh, 475. The mirrors. I believe Josh, he might be on the call. If you could let him in, he might have had some contact with them. I know he was planning on reaching out to the neighbors, both the butters and across the street, the ones that affected the views. And I know he got positive feedback, but I can't say specifically.
I've promoted him to panelist.
Oh, okay.
Hi, everybody. Thanks very much for taking the time to hear on the application. To answer this question, we did write to all of our surrounding neighbors. So we went out to Carol Mears, the Rileys, the Carabases, and the Eisenhowers, and all four came back very favorable. They all liked the new design. We showed them the before and after photos. And they were very supportive. Go ahead. Why don't you?
Oh, and
Go ahead, you can. Please go ahead.
well, and just to make the point about living space, we're really doing this to try to improve the facade of the house, the look of the house from the outside. It's really, our main intention is not to improve, add to living space. We may or may not even get living space out of this. We just thought it's a more classic, nicer look.
Yeah, really what we wanted to try to do was isolate the main body of the house, which had been the original house, I guess, that was built in 1920, and try to deal with the hip roofs, which don't look so good, you know, as you can see in the bottom panel.
Mm-hmm. And board, now you have the applicant there, and Jen, we were raising your hand?
I was, thank you. We do have someone in the audience that wishes to speak when you're ready to open up to the audience, if there's
Okay,
any
well,
Q&A
let's
after
just-
the board.
Well, yeah, let's take a couple of, see if there are any other questions on the part of the board at this point. Dave, I can't tell if people are
Oh,
eager
no,
to speak or just restless.
nothing for me at this point.
Charlie?
I have nothing.
And where's Lee? Is she
Right here.
somewhere? Anyway, Lee, any questions or issues, or Matt?
No, I don't have any questions.
Okay, let's promote the audience person.
It was a Mr. Pershing. I don't know. Oh, I'm going to let him speak and see, because he lowered his hand. So let me. Mr. Pershing, did you have anything to say to the board?
He's muted.
Hi, this is Mr. Pershing. Can you hear me?
Yep, now we can.
Yeah. So I was interested. I believe I understand where this house is, and it's across the street, and I look right into it every day, but nobody's talked to me about this. I thought the Streusel said they talked to all the neighbors.
What's your address?
I'm at 15 Black Rock Road.
You're not a neighbor of this house.
No, I don't look across.
It's probably the next hearing.
The next hearing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. That's okay. But
I was curious because it didn't look like the house that they were describing. So I thought this was a complete rebuild, but I gotcha. It is the next hearing. Sorry about that.
well, no, don't be sorry. That's fine.
We were worried there for a moment.
Yeah,
I was concerned too, because this is.
we'll have to throw the entire application out.
Sorry about that.
No
I didn't mean to shock you.
Yeah, I think his heart's going again, so it's okay. Anybody else, Jen, that's in the audience?
Let me just double check. I don't see any Q&A, which is normally how we take it. And I don't see any additional raised hands.
Okay, board, any other questions? Well, it's our practice to continue a hearing, particularly one that's opened, to the next month. We typically would then draft a decision and deliberate at that hearing, not this one, because we really haven't had time to individually mull over. But do you have any last comments that you'd like to make that are additional to, as opposed to, I mean, we've heard your rationale, which makes sense, but.
I don't as the engineer, but maybe, I don't know if Josh or Beth has any final comments.
No, I think that covers most of it. Thank you all very much for hearing us out on it. We appreciate it.
Okay, well, I'd make a motion to continue the hearing until March on this proposal. So with that motion made, do we have a second?
Dave McMorris, second.
Okay, moved and seconded. All in favor, Woody Chidick, aye.
Lee Darst, aye.
Dave
Carl
McMorris,
Higginson,
aye.
aye.
Matt Watkins,
Okay, great. Now we have a hearing that Mr. Pershing is going to be interested in. This is 605 Jerusalem Road, filed by Morse Engineering on behalf of their clients, David Gardner and Deborah Brahms, to construct an addition. So I guess who's here? Jeff, are you Jeff Hassett, are you the
Jeff is
proponent
the
here?
applicant.
I am, thank you. Jeff Acid here on behalf of the property owners.
Okay, let's just take a second here. I was a little puzzled on the filing per se. I think the relief you requested is not what the relief you need. For example, section 5.2F really deals with how you measure a front yard and whether you start measuring it 20 feet into the center line or not. And that's not the relief you need. You have actually a non-conforming house, right? And you're proposing to extend the non-conformity, but not increase it. But I don't see how this it's not so much a small point. I would like to see it amended. And Jen, can we do such an amendment for the proper form of, the proper relief sections here?
So I added 300.8 to the application on the front of the application because they had filed first for a variance under 5.2. I talked to Jeff and on the front of the application,
Yeah.
so they had 300 point, and next to it I added and 300.8, which is a section of the bylaw, which.
Maybe I'm jumping too fast, Jeff. Maybe if are you filing for a variance?
No, we're filing for a special permit. And yeah, as Jen noted, section 300.8 was added.
Well, 300.8 is section 8. You have 9 or 11 pieces of section 8. I'm sure you could be more specific about the relief you need.
Sure. Yeah, so it looks like it'd be the 8.2.
Now, let me see. Well, that's, I don't think that's the relief you need. I think you would need relief under 8.7.
Yeah, the extension and alteration. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, so we just said general section 300.8, but to be specific, 300.8.7.
Okay. And I don't think you need anything under section 5 per se.
Okay.
You're not changing use. You're not, well, use is 4, but you're not really dealing with where the front lot line is or anything of the sort, are you? Why don't you tell us why you need this relief? You appear to be, you're a non-conforming house?
Yeah, it's a pre-existing non-conforming lot. The lot is non-conforming with respect to area,
Mm-hmm.
and the existing dwelling is non-conforming with respect to the side yard setback on the left-hand side when you're looking at the house from the street. It's close. I mean, it's off by 4/10. And it's non-conforming also with respect to the front yard setback.
Okay.
So want me to kind of give you an overview of the
Yeah,
project?
why don't you give us an overview of the project, what you're proposing?
Okay, would it be okay if I shared my screen?
Fine with us. I think it'd make it easier. Yeah.
Great. Okay, so I'll start with the site plan here. And so the single family home on the lot was built in 1880, and the lot's about a half acre in size. It has frontage on Jerusalem Road. It's abutted by residential lots, which are developed on either side, and by Straits Pond to the rear. And the proposed work, zooming in, is on the left-hand side. This area here that I'm pointing to is currently a covered porch, and they're proposing to enclose that. On the opposite side of the house is also a covered porch, which they're proposing to enclose, and then add a 20 by 24 addition. So the current setback to that porch is 19.6 with a required setback of 20, which is why we're in front of you. And also the front yard setback to the porch, which is remaining, is 13.2 with the required being 30. So we're in front of you for these additions, which in our opinion do not increase the nonconformity because they're no closer than what currently exists and therefore would not be detrimental. So that's a quick overview of the site plan. I want to quickly show you the architecturals. So this is the front view. And this area here on the left-hand side is that area that's currently an open porch that would be proposed to be enclosed. Same thing on the opposite side. The front porch is existing, that is to remain. And then this is a 20 by 24 foot addition on the side that I mentioned. The setback to the side property line from this addition is well within the setbacks at 48.9 feet. This is the existing house. This area here that's currently open on the side would be enclosed. And then the addition 20 by 24 off of this side over here, again, about 48 feet from the property line. And then here's an aerial. Sometimes it's a little more clear to see on the aerial than the site plan, but this area that's currently roofed would be enclosed. This porch that's roofed would be enclosed, and a 20 by 24 addition.
Are the roofs going to be increased in height?
No. Yeah, so that's my kind of summary. I'd be glad to answer questions.
Okay, board.
And also I should note that I do believe that the property owners, David Gardner and Deborah Brams, are on the call. They intended to be on the call.
Okay, for their benefit, I'd like to have the board, complete its questions and the discussion, and then we'll open it up to the public rather than interrupt the flow here. So, board, questions, observations, comments? One. Jen, did we get the elevations in our packet?
The full packet was given. I don't know if the elevations.
I don't have them.
I don't have it.
I don't have it.
I don't. No. The other question, if the board is mind asking, is what the existing square footage and what the proposed would be.
Yeah.
Yep. So the existing predecessors is 2,136.
2,136 what? Are we talking footprint or gross floor area or what?
Gross floor area.
Okay.
And the proposed is 3,877. Although I'll note that that includes the front porch, which I typically would not include. And also it does not, it also includes the basement, which you don't typically include when calculating the gross floor area for a large home review.
What's the height of the new addition?
It does not exceed the existing, so that's the existing roof line. The exact height, I don't believe I have, but I can check.
It looks to me like it's probably going to be measured on that little connecting roof between the
Right here.
existing house and the new house.
Yeah, we certainly would need to see those, but you can just put that aside. I mean, we will need all the elevations and typically we've asked for the square footage, the volumetrics, as well as the percentage of extension of the nonconformities, so that if you're adding in or enclosing, I think we'd like to see those statistics.
Okay. But basically the addition, the area of the additions within the setbacks.
Yeah, I mean, well, we certainly want to see the elevations of what you're, of what you're proposing, and then the part that is within the setbacks. Typically they get shaded or colored or something of the sort. And statistically they're separated out, so we can get a sense of, are you doubling or increasing the amount in the setback by 50% or whatever it may be.
Yeah, so I'll have to get you those numbers.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
But it's basically a sliver right here, and then this portion of the porch that's being enclosed, and this portion of the addition, that little sliver of a triangle. So it's a very small area, but I'll have to get back to you on those.
And you're
areas.
not going up in the front yard?
No. If we go back to the elevations. Okay. No,
do you have any wetlands issues here? I know you're outside the 100-foot buffer zone, but.
Yeah, we have a stormwater permit already issued by conservation, and we also filed an RDA with conservation that's been approved as well.
Okay, what does the board think? Yeah, I think we got I got two site plans.
Same thing. We had some adjustments made to the one that was filed.
Okay, I kind of gave it a quick glance. I couldn't really figure out what was different, but why don't you take me through what was changed, and I guess we could decide whether it's material or not.
Yeah, the plan you should be looking at is dated revised January 12th.
Okay.
And we the plan that was submitted was really intended to be as a conservation plan. So to the ZB, we revised it to show the stuff you would like to see, like the abutting houses and the zoning table. So no changes to the design, just that additional information that
okay.
we'd like to include on your plans.
Fair enough. So I can really kind of discard this original
yeah.
plan. What does the board think? I mean,
I had one question on the floor plan for the front porch. It looked like the right-hand corner was a little closer to Jerusalem Road than the existing. Therefore, that would be a variance. Keep going. See right down.
This corner here.
Yeah, that one right there.
So this entire area right now is a covered porch. So we,
Oh,
we,
okay.
we measure that setback to anything with a roof. So yeah,
Okay.
that currently the setback is 13.2 and the work is 20.3 feet back. So it's that work, that addition or the area to be enclosed is further back than the.
Yeah, I see it. I see it now.
Have you needed a stormwater permit or a stormwater finding? How much of the land has been disturbed?
We did, a stormwater permit has been issued.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay, so we can get away. Were there any issues in that?
No.
We'll obviously read it, but just, help us out here. I mean, is it issued without any particular notes of concern to you?
It was really a very straightforward application. We're putting the roof runoff to a dry well, which is in the backyard. It's shown on the stormwater plan, but it's right in this area.
Mm-hmm.
And it's partially, the grading for it is partially within the 100-foot wetland line, which is the green line here.
Yeah.
So we filed an RDA for that, which was approved with pretty straightforward.
Okay. Everybody's staring. Want me to open it up to the neighbor, or does the board have further questions? But we won't close this off necessarily. You can come back, but you have comments or observations?
I had one question. Is there a design reason that the new addition can't be behind the front setback?
I would have to run that by the architect.
Okay. I mean, it seems like most of what you're doing is going to be conforming. There's just a little bit that's not, so.
It would ease our concerns and it doesn't look like you, as Dave says, you'd have to do much. Maybe a couple of feet on the left and maybe, 3 or 4 feet on the right. And boom, I don't know whether it runs, no, it doesn't seem to, well, you can decide, but I don't see it getting in the way of any FEMA zones.
No, it wouldn't. I mean, I'm sure it has to do with the interior layout, but I can run that by the architect.
Yeah, we certainly are always more pleased, I would say, and favorably disposed where, there are not further encroachments into the setback. I agree that you're not going as far out as the existing house, but it wouldn't take much to make this fully conforming, that particular addition. The other is, to my mind, not too big a deal just to enclose an already existing porch. We're going to have to continue this anyway, so it might be advisable for you to do such consulting as well as provide us with some of the statistics we're going to need between now and and March.
Yeah, I know the property owners are anxious to get going on it, so I'll consult with the architect right away and get some additional information into you.
I mean, we are not going to move up the March hearing, so I mean the
right
applicant's going to have to wait until then anyway. So we might as well tie up some of these loose ends, or at least some of the dangling questions that may be out there. Jen, do you want to? Board, is it okay if I open it up to the audience?
Yes.
All right, Jen.
All right, Jeff, is there
Hello?
anyone in particular that I should that would like to speak? They can speak for the Q&A, or what are the names? Is it?
The property owners are David Gardner and Deborah Brams.
Okay, so I see David.
They're probably on together.
Okay, so And then if any other residents, like Mr. Pershing, have had any questions, I can set it up and he can raise his hand and let us know we're right in the Q&A. Oh, and he's not. All
Yeah.
right.
This is just to let you know that
I'm here.
Well, typically, Mr. Pershing, we'd hear from the owners applicants first, and then open it up to the neighbors and other interested citizens. So I see the name David Gardner.
That's us right here.
Okay.
And Debbie, my wife, on the.
Hi.
Hi.
Your last comment about why isn't something shifted a couple of feet left or right? I didn't understand what.
Yeah, okay, if you take the front, the front facade right there where the arrow is,
Yeah.
and were to move it back between 2 and 4 feet, it would be then a fully compliant addition. You wouldn't be creating, admittedly, it looks small, but still you are increasing a nonconformity. And you would obviate that issue entirely. Now, you know, as Jeff Hassett says, you're going to want to talk to your architect and think about whether that's practical and, you know, what it does to the interior, but it would make our decision-making a little less difficult, because we wouldn't have to essentially give you an opinion on that.
Yeah.
You don't have to commit now, but I'm saying, you know, that's the issue. You are creating or extending a nonconformity.
Right, right.
And typically we don't like to set precedents such as that.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not trying to tell you this is a knockout or anything, you know, a thumbs down or anything of the sort, but it's
yeah, I know for a fact it would be difficult just from an interior point of view to move that back, because we have staircases in there, and that really, it just complicates the layout on the inside. All the corridors and such that are in there would have to be squeezed somehow.
And the staircases are between the main house and the addition, and that would make it really difficult moving it.
Yeah.
One of the difficulties is that we don't have an interior layout to look at, or at least you may have submitted it. We didn't get it, I guess, in time, Jen.
I don't, everything I received, you have.
Okay.
It's too bad, yeah, because we have everything. But
if we'd known, we could have given it to you.
Yeah.
Well, this time. This time. What happened? Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
there we
go.
So I'll submit this formally, but. Yeah,
okay, where's the street to orient ourselves? Is it off to the right? And this is
the addition is off to the right.
This is the addition, yeah.
Okay.
The front porch is right where you're in the, yeah, that's it. Front porch is there. And that's the existing front porch.
What does the board think? It's a little hard to give you much of an opinion when we're looking at it in matters of seconds, but
I'm sorry you didn't get it.
well, I mean, you know, as I say, that's
My feeling is
the end of the world.
it's,
What?
my feeling is it's always preferable to have any additions that can be conforming, but I also recognize that there are oftentimes design limitations when you're dealing with an existing or older house, and you need to make some minor encroachments. So my preference would be if it was out of the setback, but if it's necessary that it's in it a little bit, then so be it. I don't think there's a major impact.
Charlie, what do you think?
I don't have anything special to add.
Okay, Matt or Lee?
Have anything to add?
Yeah, I'm kind of in David's camp. I kind of feel the same way. I think when we get the percentage numbers, they're not going to be, just from what was illustrated as far as the percentage of increase. I think it'll be, seems like it would be fairly reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they have to get back to us with a couple of things that we asked for. But beyond that, I don't have any other requests or questions.
Okay. I don't have anything to add. Could we open it up to the audience? And by the way, if I don't know what Mr. Pershing or anybody else is going to say, obviously, but if there is to be any back and forth, I'd like it to go through me as chair and not, kind of Zoom back and forth between neighbors. It gets a little chaotic, so should be good enough in that score. Mr. Pershing, do you wish to speak? And give us your address again, please.
My address is 15 Black Rock Road.
Okay. Do you have comments?
I don't. I was attending this just because it was a neighbor's property. And I only was going to comment before when we were looking at another property because it was different than I expected. I think the plans that I've seen tonight, they look great. So no comments.
Okay. Jen, do we have anybody else out there?
I guess the one thing I would say is I was very glad to see that the elevation of the roof was not being extended. So assuming that that's true, I would have no concerns at all.
Okay. And we'll be able to verify that when we get the statistics in terms of height and so on and so forth and volume. Well,
I do not see anybody else, Mr. Chairman.
okay, well, I would make a motion to continue this hearing until March, particularly for the information that's been requested. And our practice is to get it in to the board 7 days in advance of our hearing. Okay, and Jeff, I don't think that should, you've done this many times. I mean, I don't think that's a problem, but that's just a heads up. We can't react, day of the meeting, that kind of thing. Particularly with some biggies coming up, we'll have our plate full. So if you'd be good enough to get that to us, Jeff, in the next couple of weeks, that would be terrific.
Sure, we can certainly do that. As far as that portion of the addition in the front setback, are there any additional thoughts on that? Is there any other members comfortable or strongly against it? Or do you need to wait to see the areas on that?
You want us to decide right now?
Maybe an informal poll?
No, we don't do that.
Okay.
Usually the best thinking kind of hits us a few days later.
Sure.
I haven't heard any, dramatic comments here tonight. Let me put it that way, but that doesn't mean they may not exist. Yeah, Jen.
We actually have somebody raising their hand now. I'll put it on voice. Anson Wheeler.
Okay. Oh, a blast from the past.
I know that name.
Anson was a very integral part of the zoning board way back when. Anson,
Hi.
welcome.
How are you, Woody?
I'm great.
I'm glad to talk to you. I just wanted to point out to the board now, I understand about setbacks and how people are leery about increasing any nonconformity that already exists. But if you're familiar with that stretch of Jerusalem Road, including the house next to this one, the house on the next to this one on the right, and I'm talking about looking at the house from the street. If you're familiar with that stretch of Jerusalem Road, with the house on the right, the house on the left, the house next to the house on the left, and then my house to the left of that, all of these houses are really close to the road. So a de minimis increase in that particular nonconformity, in my opinion, this is just me talking, Woody, but in my opinion, would not be out of keeping with what already exists generally in that stretch of Jerusalem Road. And I just wanted to say that. And by the way, I want to say that I think the town is lucky to have buyers of this property who are interested in rehabbing it rather than just tearing it down and starting over with something a lot different and a lot bigger. And you know what I'm talking about, what's going on often in the town these days. That's it.
Okay, well, it's great to hear your voice, Anson. I never run into you. Once in a blue moon in the dump, and that's, or the land, excuse me.
Well, I hope I see you soon. I have a question or two for you.
Okay, well, you know how to reach me by phone.
Thanks, Woody.
All right, thanks, Anson. Okay, any other comments on the part of the board, or can we continue this? I'd like to make a motion to continue until our hearing in March.
Second.
Okay, Charlie Higginson seconded. All in favor?
Lee Darst, aye.
Okay,
Matt Watkins, aye.
Dave McMorris, aye.
Charlie.
Higginson,
And
aye.
Woody Chidick, aye. So this is continued until March. And we'll maybe make assignments later on in the evening. So that concludes our hearings. And tonight we have two deliberations, because the other two hearings on Elm Street and and the other hearings have all been continued. So we have one deliberation really in front of us, and that is, if we wish to, 73 Whitehead Road. Lee has drafted a decision. We can deliberate and discuss her decision, given that we've closed the hearing. So I would now open that for deliberations. Do we all have Lee's decision draft?
I forwarded out today.
Yeah. And so
I could not bring it up.
okay, Lee, why don't you take us, give us the executive summary here in terms of one or two key findings and your recommended decision. Oops, she left.
Oh, hold on. I hit the wrong, I don't know what happened. All set, she's back.
Okay, Lee, were you able to?
Yes.
I don't
I
see
didn't
it.
go anywhere.
Oh, there you are. Okay, so you heard. I mean, if you could just give us the executive summary in terms of the two or three key findings and where you ended up in terms of a recommended decision for us, and then we can go back and forth.
Okay, well, to be concise, the garage is about 10 years old and it is non-conforming. And the proposal is to rebuild on the foundation, and it's 3.3 feet from the in the setback, and it will remain 3.3 on one side. On the other side, where there'll be an extension, is not in the setbacks. So the increase in the nonconformity will be entirely vertical, and it will be approximately 23 square feet will be non-conforming. There's really minimal amount of additional non-conformity will be in the garage, and it's very small increases of 145 square feet increase in the facade area. So they're taking a two-car garage. The height is not going to be any difference, but they're going to put living space above the garage. So it will be, instead of 450 square feet, it will be 630 square feet. And it is in a floodplain, and the garage is not flood compliant right now. It will be flood compliant when completed. So that that the proposed construction of the addition within the setback will not increase the nonconformity or increase the footprint of the dwelling, is therefore no more detrimental to the neighborhood, and it will not be injurious to public health, and it will be flood compliant. And there was no comment from any of the abutters. One abutter is just a tennis court, and there was nobody who attended the hearing, and there was nobody who submitted any support or objections.
Okay. Board. I've got a few edits to your decision, but they had to do, I think you might have, for instance, on the top of second page, confused lot coverage with building coverage.
Okay.
And stuff like that, but it's not germane really.
Okay. Noted. I will make that change.
And I'll get you suggestions.
Okay.
Charlie.
I couldn't raise this decision, but the garage is much more than 10 years old.
It was presented in the application of being at least 10 years old. They never provided a date for us.
It's actually, it used to be my sister's house, so I know
Oh.
it's about 45, at least 45 and probably 60 years old.
Oh.
Why don't you say approximately 50 in the,
Okay.
in the amended decision? Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if anybody knows that property, it's Charlie.
I agree. I didn't have that benefit. I
No,
just
I know.
read it from their application.
And what on the public health thing, I know that property's on sewer, but as I recall, I don't think there's any like bathrooms being added or anything of that nature, right?
Well, what about on the 2 bedrooms or whatever it is on the? Oh, is that being added? The conversion, isn't he adding two bedrooms?
Yes.
Or something?
No, it's just one room above the garage. I think the other accessory dwelling was done a few years ago, I believe, and that has.
Oh, okay. So
that's a larger space.
Okay, so that's existed as a, okay.
Yeah, this current, they're not extending the height. They're just putting one, I believe, according to the plans, one room up above the garage. So.
Well, and Matt, I don't think they could proceed without, approval of the Board of Health and the Sewer Commission.
Yeah, because I know when we look at that public health things, right, one of the triggers is just verifying if they're on sewer and if they're in compliance. I know they are on sewer.
They'd have to be.
There, but I don't think that they're actually adding a bathroom, if I recall. I don't know if they're not adding one. You want to add that in there, that there's no additional, but otherwise I don't have any.
I think they are adding.
I think they are adding a bathroom.
And I think they're adding to the height.
It said in the application they were not.
They are raising the roof a bit.
But are they adding a bathroom?
It said they were putting living space above. I don't recall if they're adding a bathroom with those.
It's pretty hard to have a living space without
They probably
sanitary.
could add a bathroom because of, I think they have sewer, they've already got one. But I honestly couldn't tell you.
Well, I think we should cover it in at the under the must comply with whatever it says, all plans submitted to federal, state, and municipal requirements and stipulations and recommendations of boards and agencies. And if any of the boards were to put thumbs down, it would be thumbs down on this project. I mean, that would be the impact. Or the people would just not proceed, but I don't remember. Did we query them on whether they had approval already to add a living space slash bathroom during
No,
our hearing?
There was no questions about that during the hearing.
Yeah, I don't remember it either. We might have dropped the ball on that, but. Let me think, is this good?
I think if you read about it has to comply with all Board of Health, and we would alert the Board of Health that they're putting a bedroom.
Yeah, and if they say they're not, according to Lee in the application, all we can do is approve it in terms of what was submitted to this board. And if they have since made any changes to the plan, they would have to refile or ask for an amendment.
I have the application here.
I have the application too.
Let's just look at the drawing and see if there's a little toilet. It's in my other.
As
Go
I
ahead, Charlie.
understand it, they're going to maintain the garage underneath, and then to have a living quarters overhead. Unless you were on your tummy, you would not be able to get into any room over that garage without raising the roof.
Which they're not proposing.
Well, the
Or are they?
application doesn't propose it.
Well,
They're going to
can't-
raise the roof line. I just wrote the minutes today and sent them to the board. Just the. There we go.
Well, Charlie, if they're raising the roof.
There is a bathroom. It's on the plans.
Okay.
Yep, there's a bathroom. And so what they were doing, if you want, I can pull up how I phrased it from my notes.
Well,
But-
I think we should acknowledge in the decision that they're adding a living space and a bathroom and raising the roof to make it habitable. And that's part of what has to receive approval by the town boards.
Right.
In the minutes, it says the structure will maintain the 15-foot in height.
But there's another thing. They're going to raise the roof line. It'll still be, because it's lower than 15. They're going to dormer it is what they're going to do to make the
Okay,
space.
I'm just reading the minutes
Yeah.
and the application and the memorandum.
Okay, well, to me, it seems that if we acknowledge what they're doing, or this is their plan, all we have to do is say that it's going to, that boilerplate language at the end, it has to receive
Okay.
approval from the authorities having jurisdiction.
In their memorandum, on the first page of the memorandum, it says the garage will continue to be less than 15 feet in height once all alterations are completed.
Right, that kind of.
That's the garage, but not the addition.
Well, no, the
That is the garage.
garage is the building.
They're putting on another 5 feet or so as you look at the property to the right. Well, just look at it. If it's 50, if it's no more than 15 feet high, and the garage is approximately 10, that leaves you 5 feet for your bedroom. I doubt that they're really going to live in a bedroom that's.
Oh, they're not
5
allowed
feet
to.
tall. What?
They're not allowed to live in a room that's basically less than 6'10" or whatever. I mean, use it as a living quarters.
At the peak, it'll be 20 feet, 7 inches. They're 15 feet at the midpoint.
And what is the midpoint today?
The plan should show.
Well, I'll try to find my plans. You don't have them there?
I was saying, I just wanted to say, so it says it will maintain its 15 feet, and then they're adding 8 feet out westerly. And then so they're adding space going into the conforming side, going out 15 feet. So it'll be 15 feet there, but then go up to the 20 feet at the peak.
That's what I'm saying.
Right. I have all my papers out, so now I got confused.
Well, that has to be acknowledged in the decision.
I'll work with Jen on that.
We have 2 weeks to file.
Okay.
Does the board, knowing that they're going to add or create some living space and add a bathroom, does that alter anybody's point of view in terms of approving this decision or not?
No.
No, but I do think that in the general health and welfare section that we should mention that they're on the sewer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, mention the sewer. I think we need the, I want to read this again in terms of the dimensions. And Lee, obviously, if we haven't spelled that out precisely, I think it has to be there. And then, that one part of page 2, I'll give you some language on that one.
Okay.
Well, with those changes, we're not going to be convening between now and the filing date. So are we comfortable approving the decision as to be amended?
I am.
Yeah, and I think that your revised draft should be sent to the board, a couple of days before filing. So we can take a last look at it and say it works.
I really just have to add the bathroom language also, because the proposed condition says a small second story is proposed over the garage for living space, which will increase the volume of the garage structure within the required side setback. That's on page 2 in the proposed condition. So it does say that there will be living space over the garage.
Right. They also testify the fact that they were adding the living space as a guest room because they have only 2 bedrooms.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, and he's got a couple of children.
Right.
Okay. Well, I think we can edit this without
bathroom language.
Without too much trouble. Well, I would make a motion to approve the decision that Lee has drafted with the amendments that we have discussed.
Okay.
Second that, Matt Watkins.
Okay, Woody Chidick, aye.
Carl Higginson, aye.
Lee Darst, aye.
Matt Watkins.
Morris, aye.
Okay, great. The other, obviously, we had one continued here. We had a couple of continued hearings, and the 2 that we've just heard, Struzieri at 481 Jerusalem and Gardner Brams at 605 Jerusalem have been continued until next month. Let's make a decision now in terms of who is going to be writing the decisions. Is anybody due up? I keep saying I'll do 124 and 87 Elm, but the rate we're going, I don't know when I'm going to get to write it, but write it I will. Lee has done a decision here, and we need to assign Struzieri and Gardner to two other willing people.
I haven't done one for a while. I'll do this Struzieri.
Okay, we'll put Charlie down for that. Who's?
Yeah, I don't know if I might be due.
Oh, you may not be here.
I may not be here, so this was gonna ask him. I mean,
Dave, do you mind taking that on?
No, that's fine.
Or Matt, why don't we make it simple and give this one to Dave, and then if you can't make it, no harm, no foul, right?
Yep.
Okay. We should congratulate Dave on being our esteemed vice chair, by the way.
Thank you. I
Congratulations,
it.
David.
I mean, you've been an associate member longer than most people ever serve in a board, but be that as it may, we have some board business.
It's the
What?
605, right? It's gonna depend too on how quickly he gets the material, right? Because I think without the percentages and stuff, whether the applicant's in a rush or not, I mean, we're not gonna.
I mean, we don't even have the elevations yet, so.
Right. I
Yeah,
wanted to give a little history on that, if I may.
that was a sloppy application.
Very sloppy. So a couple of things on that. So 605, they actually applied for a building permit as is with that proposal. And they, so John reviewed it and then he brought it over to me and he said, "What do you see?" I said, so I reviewed the building permit and said, "I see that it's non-conforming in 4 areas. I don't see how, in the plans." So they've had all these plans and then they rushed to filing while I was not in. And then I kept calling him saying, this is wrong, this is wrong. And I just I'm gonna let the board know that based on how busy we are, that I'm going to be asking to rescreen everything and not take things that are this messy. That we haven't had one this messy in a long time. And it was because they were rushing because the architect filed thinking that they could just get a building permit. So that worries me about the architect.
Oh,
tonight.
yeah. I mean, what was he thinking? And what was Jeff Hassett thinking? I mean, he's done.
I know, and Jeff Hassett didn't fill out the application. He didn't even have it. So last week when I was doing the packet, because we had so much going on when he filed this, because we had also 3 or 4 decisions we had to process from the last meeting, plus the 2 new filings, and it's me and a couple other people. We're 50% right now in the office. So I wrote him again and I said, "I won't accept any more applications like this, just so you know." So, so it's a little blur, but I just wanted to let you know that I'm going to get a little strict again.
Who was the, see, I don't have the elevation, so I don't know who the architect is. Who is it?
So I don't have that either. I have that. It was on
Duxborough.
I mean, somebody from Duxbury, maybe, that's kind of,
Duxborough.
okay.
no. And again, I normally would check on this.
Yeah, I think maybe kind of as an aside, you could have a little chat with them about the kind of standards we would expect. I mean, when I looked at this, I had, my first reaction was send it back.
Right. And if they slip in and file with the clerk, which they can't do right now anyways, because we're closed, and get it stamped, the clock starts.
Yeah.
So, so I will plan on being a little more due diligent, because as this went on and I kept finding more errors with it, I regretted that we had processed it, but sometimes once they start that clock, I don't have.
Yeah, but we haven't had one like this for a few years.
For a few years.
So what the heck? I mean,
yeah.
I mean.
You gotta, sometimes you have to see this to realize, oh, we can't take this,
But it's okay. I mean,
It's okay.
we just, I won't be tolerant the next time around, but
no,
there probably won't be a next time.
I'm hoping so.
Okay. All right. It's life.
Right.
You want to know if we could approve the minutes, but I don't think anybody's
No.
really had a chance to.
Oh, I didn't want you to approve them. I just wanted you to be able to just have a little, if you wanted to see what happened last time. I am almost done with everything else. And you'll have them all before the next meeting.
Okay. And there is more board business, and the board is also aware that we are in litigation, I guess, with the Stasco project. I would say hats off to John, our new building inspector, for his due diligence, having gone there and found 2 or 3 other kind of egregious errors. That's going to take quite a while. I kind of curious. Well, not
so there's a 2, and I'll have more of an update for you all. Probably in writing at some point. I know that John is having a meeting next week with, and we are recording in live. So I'll just say that, he's having a meeting with the representatives next week regarding the stop work order. And as far as the appeal of the July 1 building inspector letter, I'm not sure where that stands right now as far as what the next steps are, but I'm going to meet with council tomorrow, and I'll
Okay.
be able to update you all in writing on both those paths because there's two parallel paths.
Are we still expecting an application from them?
I don't know. They chose to appeal the vote of the board from the hearing process, and to try to have the court rule on the sides versus side, and
It's a fairly narrow appeal. I mean, it's that one area. Is that a rear or a side yard, and consequently, is it 20 feet or 30 feet required setback? But there was a lot more to the cease and desist, and
that's what's going to be discussed next week. So we'll have more updates.
All right. So there's no need for an executive session at this point, but
if we determine I can always do one between you and David and go over if you'd like to do it at the end of the March meeting. But the March meeting is going to be heavy.
Well, tell us what's coming down, because this is
certainly. So today I wasn't in the office today, but we did get the amendment to the 12487 Elm Street.
Okay.
So what they're going to be doing is looking for relief on the extension of the non-conforming spaces that go onto their property from the public property to the private property. So they've submitted. I have to look at it more tomorrow. The one question I had is there's a 400-page transportation plan. I don't think everybody needs that. So I believe I'm not going to ask them to print it. I believe we have two in the office with planning. That I can, and I'll be able to send you a Dropbox where you could review it. But I just feel that would be a waste of unless.
Are there zoning issues associated with that?
I don't know why that's being submitted, except for that parking might have to do with the transportation, which backs up how much more do they need, and so I need to read why they've submitted it. But I just want to look at it tomorrow, and then I just wanted to let you know I don't think everybody needs a 400-page. Transportation. So we could certainly get a couple, and then people could borrow them in the next month or review it online, because it's basically a binder this thick.
I'm wondering if it really pertains to us much at all. But if it does concern parking, then
right. And I think there might be a section in there, so I would like to look at it.
Okay.
Before. So we have that coming in, and then a new application. It's a dual filing. Special permit for this board and a site plan review for the planning board, and that is for 147 South Main Street, which is where the fire was, where the and that I got those via Dropbox today. So I looked at them quickly right before this meeting, as it was this afternoon that I got them, and it's the proposal for a mixed-use building. Looks like 3 commercial on the first floor, living quarters on the second floor.
That's the auto body shop, if people remember, across from
the church.
St. Anthony's.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
All right. So we'll have all of those. Those are being dropped off to me as well tomorrow. So I'll have a good idea of the plan sets, and we'll have them electronically well in advance. So that's something where it's so large. I'll get that out to you sooner than later, so you can take a peek at it.
Jen, what zoning district's that in?
Should be our.
I think it's our.
Is it RB?
It's not village.
It's not village. It's outside the village.
No, I'm RA, and that's just about 3-4 houses down. But I don't know if it changes the zoning.
I just wanted to make sure it wasn't a village business.
No, it's not.
No.
Okay.
But I'm wondering about. You're right. It's a special the conversion or use of a one-family. Well, no, it's not a one-family dwelling. That's being converted. Dwelling for more than one family, including those in combination with stores and other permitted uses, is not allowed. It's a variance. There's no special permit.
Except for that was pre-existing it was pre-existing non-conforming use, because there was existing houses, apartments above it, and there was the gas station. So behind there were 2 or 3 dwelling units that burned in that fire. And it's within the 3 years. So we'll see what the application says.
Yeah. All right. So
I mean, I haven't seen it, so it's pretty big. The other thing going on in town, just not with this board, but with a site plan, is One Pleasant Street, which is the structure that's in existence, and you go over the train tracks behind the Arts Center.
Is
And
that where the restaurant was, Simply Smith's and things?
Exactly. And that's a raise and rebuild.
The whole building?
The whole building. And it's not much bigger. It's going from about 8,100 to 8,500 square feet. And it will have to have inclusionary zoning aspect to it, based on the fact that they'll do residential on the top and commercial on the bottom. So that's coming in, has actually been filed with
Is
planning.
that going to go over to Smith Place that had all the neighbors excited a couple of years ago, or not?
No, it's its own lot.
Okay.
Is it going to have parking, or is it going to take the town lot as its parking?
Probably be counting its town lot, but they do have some on-site private parking. So I'd be interested. We'll be seeing on the site plan if they qualify with enough parking.
Well, they also have that lot right next to them that's town owned.
Yes. So there's multiple, and for the bylaw, so there's multiple, but for, can they leave? You can leave your car overnight in the residential, the main lot. You are allowed to leave but I don't know about the small lot.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So, with going back to the 147, based on the size of the project, we'll get a small deposit for engineering fees. We're going to try to be consistent, Lauren and I, and use the same engineer, Amory Engineering, which did 15 Brook for us, which was a dual. And if we need, I'll send it out and we can decide after the first filing if you want. But they're already going to be looking at it for the planning board. So we'll try to kind of combine forces and get all the review under one.
Good.
So just want to let you know that we'll move forward with assigning them as the in-house. We did an RFP, and we have 2 engineers services that we use, and one is Wesson and Sampson, and Amory is the other one. And then I didn't know if you were interested. I know before, and someone else might, I know Matt might travel into town, but we've always had our meetings at 7:30 based on people commuting from Boston. So just food for thought with all the extra work coming in the next few months, if you wanted to try 7 o'clock, but there's no problem. 7:30 is fine too. I just wanted to throw it out there. So you can noodle it around, but.
Okay. Well, why don't we put it on our agenda as board business for next month? And
Sure.
that gives us 30 days to think about the half hour.
Right. It just,
Matt, you're still traveling, aren't you?
Not much. I mean, next month I do have that, but I've cut down a lot. Who knows, I guess, when it will resume. So, but I mean, I could, if the consensus was 7, I mean, it's more my kids, just kind of get settled before I leave my wife again. So,
Jan, you are heartless. Poor Matt as a young dad. Now you want him to skip out of anyway. Okay, so we've got those. I don't have much else to report.
No. So we'll all be in touch with Woody and go forward if any applicants come in regarding board membership.
Hey, well, just quickly, I will post you that I'm a member of the zoning bylaw working group that is headed by a woman named Katie Dugan, who's really exceptional, I think. And tomorrow night, she in particular and our working group are going to have a discussion with the planning board about some of the bylaw areas that we're looking at. We don't have much ready for prime time at this point, but there are a few little tweaks, the bigger kind of overhauls, the confusion between overlay districts, conflicts, so on and so forth, will be addressed. We are trying to synthesize and simplify because the bylaws appear to have been amended and appended for 50 years here and there, and it's really a mess. And through nobody's fault. I mean, it's just, but there's some strange things in there. So we've got about a year's work or more to go, but I just wanted to sort of post you, and there will be this presentation, and I think we could perhaps prevail on Katie, Jen, what do you think, at some appropriate moment to give that presentation, road tested at the planning board, and maybe give it to the zoning board, just to post you.
Yes, absolutely. I think we've already gotten quite a bit done, and you know, and then she would do a great job going over everything that's in the pipeline, that the NOI that's going to town meeting, and then and in future, and then maybe all of you could give us some ideas of what else you think
Yeah.
is, you know,
Because our intention is to group these rather than, for instance, one of the issues is height. How high should it be? Should it be the same in all zoning districts virtually as it is today or not? But rather than just deal with height, we want to know, are there any setback issues, definitional issues about a rear lot line, so on and so forth, that we'd like to bundle into the subsection that we'll euphemistically called dimensional requirements. So there will be an opportunity, and Charlie, in terms of land use and grading and ledge removal and things of that sort, that's another subset.
How about senior housing? Or yes, because that was a major issue while we were discussing it in the master plan committee.
Indeed, yeah, the senior, the only place we really talk about senior is in Article 16, which is also an affordable housing bylaw, and it was supposed to have been sunsetted a few years ago. It came into effect when the Cook Estate was thought of as an affordable housing, you know, a downsizing as opposed to an upsizing project, and but it's never been sunsetted, and we don't really have a senior housing bylaw in this town, or even allow it technically, which is a big oversight. So it's that kind of stuff we're looking at, Charlie, and your wisdom would be most appreciated.
Woody, are they looking at the this town parking lot issue?
I don't know. Our group is not. Jen, do you know?
No, that would be something that would be brought forward, you know, to the planning board, and it would have to anyways, if we were gonna, all of this will have to go to the planning board for public hearing.
But the answer, I guess, is no, Dave.
No, it hasn't been looked at.
The way things are going, the whole town parking lot's gonna be residents of the neighborhood.
Yeah. Charlie, did you get into that in the master plan?
No, we did not get into that.
Well, every time some new use comes, it just gets, well, you're within 500 feet of the town lot,
right?
So you can use it, and you know, the usage is probably doubled from 1970 when that bylaw first went in. It was a pretty sleepy little downtown area. So, but those are ideas, Dave. I think we could bring forth, and should, even if it's not the working group I'm on. I mean, there are people and groups that are dealing with some of this. So, in other words, we don't have anything, you know, dramatic to report, but we are going to. We've all lived the bylaws, so think of your favorite conundrums and forward them on. Okay.
All right.
Jan, another question. Has Mrs. Murphy spoken to you about the Tedeschi or ex-Tedeschi garage off of Hobart Lane?
Yes, we talked at length, and that permit is dead. Both the zoning board permit and the permit that was applied for the garage to be built. They're null and void. The time has passed and owners have changed. So anything they want to do on that structure is going to require a special permit or anything.
A new hearing.
Right.
Thank you.
No problem.
Okay.
I sicked her on you.
You know, I don't have 3 hours to spare. No, I was kidding. She's
lovely. Come on.
No, it was fine. It was actually great. She stopped by because we were able to look everything up. John and I go back, pull history, And he voided the permit, and we determined that the zoning board permit has elapsed. And so it's dead for now, which is nice to have some finality for her and for our files. So it was great. She's lovely.
Okay, so we will talk, and actually the next piece of business will be a redraft of Lee's decision, or an amended, not a full redraft. And we will all get together in a month.
All right.
That's good.
We just need to adjourn.
Okay. Hey, Jen, let's put a Katie Dugan presentation on a board business, either March or April, depending
Okay.
on workload. Okay, so a move to adjourn. I've made
Second.
that motion. Okay, moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Hi, Lee Darst.
Pretty
Matt
chick
Watkins.
guy.
David McMorris, aye.
Okay, so unanimous, 5-0.
Have a great night, everyone.
Thank
Good night.
you, too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.